India is an IT powerhouse today and is fast becoming the hub of the global software industry. Indian IT companies have evolved from being perceived as mere body shoppers to trusted IT advisors of Fortune 500 companies. Indian IT companies have moved up the value chain, providing end-to-end IT consulting services across all industry verticals. Indian IT companies today are competing successfully against global IT giants and are still growing at an average annual rate of 34%. So how are these Indian IT companies able to grow profitably and still compete successfully with global majors? By adopting latest processes for project management, software engineering, quality assurance and continuous improvement, they have been able to improve their productivity and quality. This has provided a competitive edge to Indian IT companies who now have the reputation of delivering top quality software products and services on time and on budget. Let's get an inside view on how Indian IT companies have been able to achieve all this and how the small and medium IT companies of today can emulate their success.
We now have Tejasvi Kumar with us, who's the technology expert at Microsoft. Tejasvi, software development, how exactly does it work? What's the typical process that is followed?
A typical software development lifecycle would consist of the requirement phase. So this is where you would talk to the customers or the end users, understand the requirements, and then you would get into the design stage. So this is where you actually design the application at a very high level. And then thirdly, you would get into the code generation phase. So this is where you would actually go and write code for that particular application. And then you would get into the testing phase. So this is where you would test your application to ensure that it doesn't have any defects and that it complies to the requirements. So whatever requirements that you've actually gathered from the customers. And then lastly, you would get into the deployment phase. So this is where you would go and build your applications and release to the customers. There's another important entity here. So that is your maintenance phase. So this is where you would probably get change requests from the customers. If there's any change in the business functionality, so you would probably want to go and update the application. So that becomes your maintenance phase.
What role do people play in the software development process? Can you just brief us on that?
There are three important entities when we talk about successful execution of a software project. Firstly, it's all about people. And when we talk about people today, it's all about specialized roles. So people play roles like project manager, then we have an architect, we have a business analyst, we have a software developer, then we have a tester, then we have quality teams, we have process teams, then we have build and release managers, then we probably have the configuration managers. So all of these entities put together consist of the people part of it. Then we have the process part. The process plays a very vital role in any software development project. And when we talk about process, we need to basically customize the process to their own needs and requirements rather than giving one common process across the entire company. So the process framework itself helps you to capture the right data so that the reporting becomes easier for you to understand the progress of your particular project. And then we need to also drill into the security aspects, the compliance aspects. The process plays a very important role there. And then lastly, the tools. The tools plays a very important role. The tools basically helps you to improve the productivity and the quality of the application. So when we talk about productivity, it is completely opposite to the quality aspects of it. So can the tool actually aid the people and the processes around that to improve the productivity at the same time not affecting the quality? So these two are tangentially opposite. So the tools basically get all of these things together. And with Visual Studio Team System, we have a completely integrated development platform which brings the tools aspects and the people aspects and the process aspects, and everything gels very well. If there is a disconnect between each of these entities, then there's a lot of problems in terms of delivering the projects on schedule. There's a lot of wastage in terms of the loss of information. The quality of the application really drops. So these are the typical problems that we address through the Visual Studio Team System product.
In business, risks can result in big rewards or big setbacks. And while most organizations prefer to play it safe, the ones that take giant risks also take giant strides towards success. CNBC TV 18 in association with the Bank of Rajasthan presents The Turnaround Saga, Winning Against All Odds, a special series that explores the turnaround saga of various corporate and banking institutions at these times only on CNBC TV 18. Home Shop 18 introduces the new Westpro 1GB MP3 player with high-quality speakers. It stores up to 200 songs and can also be used as a USB pen drive. The speakers can connect to all audio players. Order now the new Westpro 1GB MP3 player with speakers for just Rs 2,499 and get international music blockbusters worth Rs 900 absolutely free. So call the numbers on your screen now.
You're late.
हेलो बेबी बेबी आई एम सॉरी मैं
हेलो
हेलो
सॉरी
यार प्लीज हेलो
हेलो दूल्हे मियाँ
कार प्रॉब्लम
नेटवर्क प्रॉब्लम ये लो मेरा टाटा इंडिकॉम
हाँ इट्स मी
बोलो आज क्या बहाना है
अरे बहाना क्या मैं तो
जस्ट रिलैक्स
हर पल साथ निभाऊंगा जिंदगी के सफर में नखरे सभी उठाऊंगा
हर बात तुम्हारी मानूंगा
हर बात तुम्हारी मानूंगा हर राह हर मोड़ पर हर पल साथ निभाऊंगा और ये बहाना नहीं हकीकत है आई लव यू
हेलो दूल्हे मियाँ दुल्हन से नहीं मिलाओगे इंडिकॉम अपनाइए अपनी जिंदगी में फर्क लाइए
Your HSBC credit card saves you time so you can enjoy life. What you do with it is up to you.
छोड़ो मैं करता हूँ
HSBC credit cards. Live more.
Tejasvi, when you look at the Indian IT industry or the global delivery model, what are the key challenges that any software development company faces in today's time?
Okay, so let's look at some common challenges. The first challenge that I can speak about is distributed development. Okay. So when you look at the Indian IT industry, we have people sitting on-site, people sitting off-site. So we need to provide a common platform for these individuals to collaborate effectively. Okay. So we wouldn't want two people to be working on the same feature, for example. So let's go and speak to some of our customers to actually understand their feedback on distributed development.
When we execute projects, the major challenges that we are having basically is when we have the requirements coming up, we are not in a position to actually know where the actual status of the requirement is or status of the code that is being produced for that particular requirement. How much of bug has been fixed, how much outstanding, what is the status of each requirement. So and also consolidating all together and also in cases where multiple teams had to work for the same project, residing in multiple locations, that's become a big challenge. Team Foundation Server has actually helped us in overcoming most of these challenges. One, by having more control requirements specific wise, it gives us actually the detailed information of where that particular requirement is, how much of that particular assignment is over, who is working on it, what is the number of bugs that are outstanding for that particular requirement. It gives a whole lot of control to the project manager, especially in cases where we have teams working in different locations.
Distributed development. It's like manufacturing. Wherever it is cheaper, wherever we can get the people, industry is bound to move there. So today software could get developed. In olden days, software is probably smaller in size, was probably created by a few set of people and a few number of people sitting in the same office on the same floor. Today in a distributed environment, you will have people in the team sitting in different parts of the world. You can have team in Russia, in India, and in the US working on the same software. There is large dependency on collaboration. There could be loss of information and hence loss of productivity, because if they are all not in the same level or they are not all synced up. Tools like Microsoft VSTS helps get a integrated approach to software development. Another trend I have seen recently is the lack of discipline among software engineers. with more and more people coming into software, even though there are laid down guidelines and processes, how many of them using it? How do you ensure, how a project manager can ensure that all the people or the team members are following all these guidelines? This is where the Microsoft Team Foundation Server or the TFS helps a lot. You can put guidelines or ensure that they are being followed by the team members before the code is being checked in or given for further development for testing.
Another common challenge that I can speak about here is getting a real-time visibility into a software project itself. Now, the analogy I can use here is, imagine a project manager driving a car with his eyes closed late in the night. So whenever he hits a bump, that person wakes up, opens his eyes, and that's just one dimension. So the bug rates is what most people actually get today. But imagine if we can provide a lot of other details like how are we progressing over a period of time? Are we making periodic releases to the customers? Are we on track with regards to the requirements that we've actually got? So what we can do right now is ask a customer to voice out his point of view on this particular problem area.
We leveraged this integration framework of Visual Studio Team System to integrate the engineering process of Visual Studio Team System and our own project management process tools to leverage the advantages provided by both of these. So as we got along this exercise, we found it really offered a great amount of benefits when it came to the productivity improvement and at the same time efficient data capturing mechanism, as now the different roles will be able to feed in the data within the same IDE instead of getting into different tools, and as a result of this efficient data capturing, getting into the real-time insights of the project has become more efficient and more accurate. A project manager will be able to say the status of project at real time based on the data that has been fed live.
A couple of other common challenges that I can think about is, firstly, we use so many tools today. So we, as a software developer, he has a software development IDE, and for unit testing probably uses a separate tool. Then for static analysis, he probably uses a separate tool. Then for version controlling, again, we have a separate tool for that. Then we have a separate testing tool. Then we have a separate architecting tool. So it becomes too difficult. Now these people will have to learn some of these technologies, so that learning curve is really high there. And then we're also talking about toggling between multiple interfaces for them to actually go about producing these applications. So can we provide one integrated tool set which actually brings in all of these aspects together so that that person will be able to go and be more productive? The second thing which is quite related with this is the data fragmentation. So because so many tools are being used here, it becomes very difficult for the project managers to actually pull all the reports, corresponding reports, and understand the progress of that particular project. So can we bring everything together into one central repository, common repository? So that becomes swell. So that is what the Team Foundation Server provides here. That is what the Visual Studio Team System provides here. So let's have a customer voicing out their thoughts on this particular problem now.
Microsoft's VSTS platform has been critical to us in our ability to deliver go-to-live services to our customers. Firstly, VSTS is a complete end-to-end product development and management tool. That means that our development teams and managers need to use just one application from everything including requirements analysis all the way to testing, code coverage, bug tracking, source code control. That is a tremendous productivity boost, because before VSTS we had to use up to 6-7 different applications, and these applications did not talk to each other. So this affected our traceability, our ability to find what was happening in all stages of the project and link these areas to each other. With VSTS, which has a common underlying database, we have the ability to generate traceability metrics, we have the ability to generate performance and productivity numbers, and really figure out what's happening towards the complete product development life cycle from a single common application. In many cases, we have seen up to 20 to 25% productivity increases from our development and management teams. The most exciting part of VSTS is its almost limitless extensibility. So at Persistent, we have developed connectors to other third-party source control systems, for example. We have also linked our VSTS applications to MIS internal applications. So for example, a Persistent manager today can link the information in his task and bug database to the resource allocation details in our HR systems, ensuring that these two are consistent. And this information can also be used to integrate with our finance systems to generate billing data. Now this kind of cross traceability between applications is critical to the success of our Go to Live initiative. I think there's a huge business opportunity for Microsoft's partners and other third-party providers and system integrators to build these connections and bridges from VSTS into other platforms. So as I mentioned earlier, we have connected to third-party control systems, we have connected to our own internal MIS systems, and I think there's a huge value add in being able to provide this connectivity between your VSTS applications and other MIS applications or other external systems that you may want to use. At the end of the day, any software that gives you 80% of the functionality at 20% of the cost is going to be a winner. And I think VSTS goes far beyond that 80%.
जहाँ गहरा हो विश्वास जीने का अंदाज हो खास जहाँ गहरा हो विश्वास जीने का अंदाज हो खास
India's largest real estate company in terms of the area of completed residential and commercial development, DLF Limited, is now coming out with a public issue of 175 million equity shares with a face value of 2 rupees each through a 100% book building process in a price band of 500 to 550 rupees per share. Issue opens 11th June, closes 14th June 2007. For risk factors and other details, refer to the red herring prospectus on the websites of SEBI and Bookrunners.
Говорите.
Емкость-запоминающего устройства резервуара и терминалы 6 миллионов кубических метров.
Дальше.
Реактивные самолеты, морские базы, мосты. Все сделано.
Аэропорты.
Чанги в Сингапуре. У нас там есть 7 баван.
Трубопроводы.
8000 километров. 18 шоссе в Индии. 3 LNG-терминала.
Ядерная энергия.
Саймон Кейрс, Великобритания. Они провели 3,5 миллиона часов работы.
Сколько стран мы планируем?
60.
Какое кодовое название?
Punjloid.
The world is not enough. Punjloid.
What troubles you the most?
Too much wealth has been made too easy.
Do interest rates bother you?
I don't think so at all.
What about construction as a sector?
There are big entry barriers in this sector.
How do you see crude panning out?
In general, I think commodity prices are going to remain good.
You cannot be the benchmark for the average investor, surely.
What I've learned in the last 4 years is more than what I learned in the previous 40.
Would you be surprised if the index went on to break 16,000 this year?
History has always been made of fresh.
Wishing and smiling and thinking and caring always.
Because life is full of color. Sarah Bathware, designed for life.
Microsoft has been an industry leader in building world-class applications, and we've used a lot of tools to build these applications. So what we've done now is we've taken some of these internal tools that we were using for our development processes and incorporated that into Visual Studio Team System and the Team Foundation server. So let's look at some of the challenges that the IT industry faces today. So common challenges are collaboration, which is a big problem for like large teams. So when you have teams of 15, 20 people or beyond 20 people, then collaboration becomes very, very important. So is there a way to provide some kind of a common platform where people can actually visit and upload all the documents that would be required for their software development activities? And the second important aspect here is the scalability. So we're talking about like, companies growing by 40%, 50% every year, a lot of headcounts coming into these IT companies. So are these systems scalable? So we need to have a system that can scale beyond 3,000, 3,500 users. And finally, we need to have a system that can be easy to manage. So an administrator should be able to manage the systems without too much of a learning curve. We need to have a system which has the stability to be up and running without any downtimes. So what we're going to do now, we'll have another person at Microsoft to voice out some of their thoughts on the common challenges that they face and how they've actually addressed the challenges using some of these sophisticated tools and technologies.
There is large dependency on collaboration. There could be loss of information and hence loss of productivity, because if they are all not in the same level or they are not all synced up. Tools like Microsoft VSTS helps get a integrated approach to software development. Another trend I have seen recently is the lack of discipline among software engineers. with more and more people coming into software, even though there are laid down guidelines and processes, how many of them using it? How do you ensure, how a project manager can ensure that all the people or the team members are following all these guidelines? This is where the Microsoft Team Foundation Server or the TFS helps a lot. You can put guidelines or ensure that they are being followed by the team members before the code is being checked in or given for further development for testing.
Visual Studio Team System comes with an integrated unit testing framework, and this unit testing framework integrates well again with the build and the reporting capabilities of VSTS. After running these tests, you get visibility into key project metrics, the quality metrics such as code churn, code coverage, and the pass rates of the builds. Also, you could enforce check-in policies when people try to check in, when developers try and check in their source code into VSTS. And some of the policies could be, does your code compile? How secure is the code that you're checking in to VSTS? And does your code meet the coding standards that are enforced by your organization? I work in Microsoft's MSIT OEM business, which is a $13 billion business for Microsoft, and we create, develop, and manage 50 plus applications to support the OEM business of Microsoft. And we have teams distributed across the world. We have teams in Redmond, USA. We have teams here in Hyderabad. We have teams in China. We have teams in Dublin. And the teams are, development, test, architects, project managers, program managers, various kinds of people involved in these projects. So you're talking about hundreds of people accessing VSTS to manage the applications. So it's pretty scalable that way. So we are able to effectively and seamlessly manage our projects with very less administrative effort.
Productivity and quality are the key things when we have to meet the delivery schedules. Productivity is enforced by using proper tools like Visual Studio, which help in code coverage analysis, static code analysis to ensure that code conventions are being followed, dynamic code coverage analysis to ensure that we know where performance bottlenecks could come up. Many organizations have specific software development methodologies. These processes can be built in because Visual Studio provides customizable process templates through which an organization can enforce a certain process, and this is something which is a very useful aspect of the new enhanced suite of products from Microsoft.
For India to maintain its edge in the outsourcing ways, we need skilled labor, optimized processes, and excellent tools to help us succeed. Microsoft provides the platform and tools to help the Indian IT industry succeed.